Well, I made it. Hello, welcome. Yeah, I thought, oh, I'll just refresh my computer just because I, should do that. And next thing you know, when it came back on, it had a thing, it said BitLocker. I needed a recovery key ID from Microsoft. We didn't know how to get that, but we figured it out. But it took like 30 minutes. Yeah, I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to go live. Like I couldn't get on my computer at all. Wow. Okay. So the dogs are all scared because I threw me a little micro fit, but whatever. Hey, Queen. Hey, Beck. I'm like, what the hell? How are they allowed to do that? I don't want that service, whatever that it is. And I couldn't do it through my phone. It gave me a website to go to, but I wasn't allowed to do it from my phone. So if Mr. Snotty wasn't here to do it on his computer, what was I going to do? All right, whatever. I'm all stressed out. Sorry about that. So are we super excited? I'm really excited to watch this if I can get it to. I'm going to try to find. I've got right side broadcast up, but I feel like I might want want to watch it from somewhere else. But a lot of people say that it's live and it's not. I can tell that it's not. All right, we're just going to go with right side. Have you guys ever had that happen?
Or sponsors right here on the right side of history. Don't change that dial. It's Right Side Broadcasting's live desk on this Tuesday, October 14th.
BitLocker.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed.
Yeah, this is weird. I had to get this passkey.
Tired of being told no by your doctor, your pharmacy,
but I couldn't
or worse,
do it for my
your
phone.
Insurance company? You're not alone. Millions of Americans are waking up to a broken healthcare system. That's why more and more people are turning to All Family Pharmacy.
The device I was using.
We believe in medical freedom. We deliver the prescription and the
But I also
medication,
had to
all
get
from
something from my
licensed US
email.
doctors and pharmacists, from ivermectin and trusted antibiotics to maintenance medications.
I'm
even
like, how is this your
NAD+,
business?
The revolutionary anti-aging supplement. Use code RSBN10 at checkout for 10% off your first.
So
Welcome back to Right Side Broadcasting Network.
Mr. Snotty said he thinks it was something.
Joy to be with you at the live desk.
Felt somebody was
as
trying
we
to
celebrate Charlie Kirk
get in my
Remembrance Day.
information or
Today would have
something.
been
I don't know.
his 32nd birthday, and President Trump will participate in honoring posthumously the legend known as Charlie Kirk. And if you actually define his name,
Hey, do you like my shirt?
Charlie being warrior and Kirk standing for church, the warrior of the church. It's literally the definition of his name. When you look back to the Germanic and Latin roots of Charlie Kirk, it's rather remarkable to think about as he receives the Medal of Freedom, a ceremony that will take place roughly 20 minutes from now. Another Turning Point USA alumni and friend here of the network is Congresswoman Ana Paulina Luna. We had an opportunity to speak with her earlier, and she had some thoughts not only on this day, but some breaking news right here at Right Side Broadcasting regarding the intelligence community. Joining us at the live desk, Congresswoman Ana Paulina Luna from the free Sunshine State of Florida. Thank you for joining us to remember Charlie Kirk, especially given our time, our 10 years overlapping at Turning Point USA. Any fond memories that you have from your work with Charlie and his 32nd birthday culminating in the Medal of Freedom? What a high honor from President Donald Trump.
Yeah, I know Charlie, and I keep saying it, but I really wish that he could be here today to see the accomplishments that President Trump has just been able to do, especially because he was such an advocate for peace, especially in the Middle East, specifically with Gaza and Israel. But one of my favorite memories is actually the first debate that we did together actually at a campus in Portland, Oregon. And so I was sitting down with him literally at a fold-out table and a sign that said there are only two genders, and he had an ice hat on, and that is kind of Charlie's MO, is that he would always basically draw people in to debate them and have them really genuinely present if they had better ideas. And to this date, I actually never saw a debate where Charlie lost. So I think that he's going to be going down in history as one of the greatest debaters and really civil rights leaders of our time.
And watching you,
did you guys see that crazy shit going on in
such respect to the other side?
Chicago?
It was really quite a sight to see. And I remember as staff, Charlie always said, hey, we're going to have some heckles here. Let's always make sure that those who especially disagree with us actually feel comfortable, because we want the conversation to continue,
some
whether
kind
it's a
of
public
complete
campus, a
nonsense.
private campus, all the way to those in between. And those were fun events, whether it be Campus Clash.
Oh yeah, he would have people jump to the front of the line. He'd say, if you disagree, come to the front of the line.
Right. it was
happy?
outstanding. And those are always fun.
That shit's going to get out of
memories.
hand.
Now let's talk about the current situation regarding peace in the Middle East. This is
it's already out of hand.
I don't even think
But
people could
it
have
worries
recognized from the Camp David Accords, the Abraham Accords, now to what truly looks to be lasting peace. And thank God those 20 last remaining hostages coming back. We now know we have some of the bodies returned of the 28 that remain and are still being searched for. How do you see this happening? Does Congress help with this governing board to really demilitarize Hamas in the next steps?
They are.
I think most certainly, but I also think that there's going to be an aspect of at least enabling
That's exactly
American
what it is,
nonprofits and individuals who want to go in and help with relief efforts, especially with rebuilding in Gaza. I think that that's been a very strong statement from the president, and something that we should all get behind, because essentially what's happened in the Gaza region is it's basically rubble, and an effort to actually provide some sense of life and something for these people to be able to go back to, and really I think help push out some of the radical ideologies that are completely disgusting control in that region. You have to give these people something to hope for, right? And so I think President Trump has pointed out there's going to be many countries coming in to help rebuild that region, and he wants to see lasting peace. And so that's been my perspective. I think that that's a great perspective that this administration has. But ultimately, too, going forward, the one thing that President Trump always did well is that, if the United States
what you would
is
expect
going to
would
provide
happen.
aid, we also expect the countries
The police should have brought in a paddy wagon or whatever the hell you call those things.
Essentially
some kind of van,
region. And so
just load everybody up.
Been a peacemaker, and he is definitely the type
some woman was in the
and hold true to that peace
ICE
treaty. And
agent's
so I'm
faith.
very
It's
happy
like,
to have him.
you know what? No.
Yes, we are very
Get the hell out of here.
blessed to have President Trump in office. God is not done with
Hey, legs.
our republic yet, nor is he done with Israel and peace for the Middle East. I mean, this day coming together of people, like he said, this has been 3,000 years in the making, so it's rather remarkable. I was somewhat surprised to see the name of Tony Blair on the list for this board of governors, and President Trump said aboard Air Force One. Yes, I like Tony. I have to look more into Tony, but of course we know
I actually
he shared
think that
former President George W. Bush's philosophy of exporting democracy through force with
I think
preemptive
that
wars.
Trump does
that
have some kind of a
because
plan
of
for
the
this
history
shit
with Iraq
because
that might, in a way,
there's no
not
way that
help with
this
having
just can
a
go
governing
on.
board with the former Prime
It
Minister
just
of the
can't.
UK, Tony Blair, sitting on that.
Well, the UK is, I think, in a lot of hot water from a lot of their positions in wars. We know that also, too, the UK had really pressured, I think, at the asking of the Biden administration for
I would
Ukraine
love
to not
to see
take a peace deal with
a
Russia.
whole
And that
busload
was
of them
2
just
years
hauled
ago.
out
So
of
this
there.
is not the first
That's
time. But I think going
100%
back to your
what should
initial
happen.
question,
That's not
yeah,
protesting.
that's a bit
not
concerning. I think anytime that you have any individual or any government or member of government advocating for war instead of peace, you always should look as to why they're doing that. And so I think right now you're actually seeing a massive amount of war fatigue with the American people. And I think members of Congress too, there are still a select group of us that are anti-war as a first means of dealing with something. And so I think, you know, that perspective is a healthy perspective to have. Why would you advocate for a situation or a conflict that can get many people hurt when you can have peace talks first?
Yes, and speaking of peace talk, sometimes it's with the Democrats on the other side of the aisle. What are some of those next steps to potentially reopening the government? Because I think
something better
House Speaker
to watch
Mike Johnson and House Republican leadership really knocking it out of the park on this and saying we passed the clean CR. Of course, we want to move beyond this, something that we've really seen since 1998, where more and more CRs have been used instead of opening the government up in a more robust way. So it leaves leadership really demanding of younger congresswomen and congressmen as yourself.
Well, they're
to
paying
kind of be
them
on the sidelines, and that's sad to see.
They're
that
getting
perhaps
like
that process will
paychecks
change,
or whatever.
But there's no question this is a clean CR. The Democrats want health care funded by the American people to go to illegal aliens.
And you know, the
so
thing
how
is,
do you see
with the
this
media
as
the way they
perhaps
are
an
and
opportunity
politicians
to reopen it and
not being honest, you know, a lot of people actually think that they are rounding up U.S. citizens.
Well, I don't think
they actually think
do that. I think that they're right now interesting some of their lists of demands. I think we saw like what 2.7 million.
Look at that Don Lemon or whatever the I don't know how you pronounce his name. Out there talking to people, telling people that being here illegally is not illegal.
Some of their requests and demands for
just.
And so what's actually, from what I'm hearing on our side of things, is that, you know, there's no reason.
But this is what we have.
To be forced,
you know, the world is upside down with this shit.
Sense for what they're requesting, because this is not on behalf of the American people. This is for other countries, to be clear, and for people that haven't paid into our system. And so, I'm perfectly fine with what the administration and perspective is doing and saying that, look, the Democrats.
I know you have people out on the street arguing with him, telling him it is illegal, and he goes, "Well, it's a rule." What do you mean it's a rule?
There are certain programs. There are certain projects.
Illegal is illegal. How
in these that the Democrats have written in, basically as re-election pet projects. And so I think that they need to start looking at cutting that funding too, because if they're not going to be honest with the American people,
aggravating.
They're using taxpayer dollars to essentially buy their re-elections. I mean, we shouldn't be forced to play that game. And frankly, they're actually costing the American people more of a deficit every single day. And so that's why the administration made the announcement.
I know, not that I think people are listening to him, but it's just like so.
Are not going to be returning. But again, the American government is bloated. I think a lot of people
the lying is so gross.
The government shut down, their daily lives have not changed. But there are certain programs that we do need to ensure maintain funding. And President Trump has done a brilliant job using the reciprocal tariff pot of money that he has had, for example, to fund the programs like women, infant, and children that the Democrats were so easily able to let loose funding to. And so what we're hoping to see happen is that they do come to their senses. But I will say that from what I'm hearing, not just out of chatter out of the White House, but then also among.
Hey, did you guys see? So there's going to be anticipating that Turning Point is going to have an alternative
So I think this is
halftime show.
Yes, billions of dollars being wasted because of Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries in this temper tantrum they're having. Because that's the thing about their messaging, Congresswoman. It's that. Oh, the Republicans don't want to.
Let's see. There's going to be.
What it really translates to is either you put this in the CR or we're going to do just this. And I thought they were against the filibuster of all things on the Senate side. So we'll see how this all develops in the coming days, and hopefully it does not take weeks and into the holidays. But you've been very focused on the task force on the declassification of federal secrets, and that's all working with Chairman Comer on the Oversight Committee. Can you give us any new developments on what's maybe taking place from the intelligence community?
I actually have a very big one. Yeah, so actually I have a very, very big one. I just found out earlier today that for the first time since the assassination of Kennedy, that the Russian government has agreed to deliver documents pertaining to.
They're going to have good people there.
Who killed JFK? What's been
no, I don't think it's a joke. I don't think so.
When Congress tried to
hold on, let me see.
The Russian government denied those documents to them, and they are actually.
I don't think it's a joke.
And so that will be uploaded. We're going to be doing it through the Mary Farrell Foundation. I'm also going to be giving a copy to the National Archives. And we actually are bringing on people that can translate those documents. The American people can see what the parallel investigation from foreign intelligence actually said on the assassination. So we know via some of our findings, Radcliffe has done an incredible job with releasing the information that actually largely does show that the CIA not only lied and blocked Congress's efforts to investigate the assassination, but also too that, they had some not so good people over at the agency who I do believe were implicated in the assassination of President Kennedy. So some incredible findings there, but, we
I saw something
at the same time, and this has massive historical significance, but at the same time, we're also opening up an investigation into the Martin Luther King assassination. And so we do have people that have agreed to testify in that hearing. As you know, there's been declassified documents. And then also we cover the UAPs as well and RFK. So we've been working very closely with the CIA to help obtain those documents. I think that Radcliffe has an incredible perspective in saying that, the sins of past directors are not going to be something that he's going to accept, and that he does believe in full transparency.
100%.
People deserve to know the truth.
Probably always.
So there is full,
I don't even know that
compliance with these different agencies.
I usually don't know who
for the first time in U.S. history.
The
nothing short of extraordinary. Thank you for that, Congresswoman. And
I don't know that
continue
person
to watch that
year.
as those are being released. Is there a timeline with the Russian government sending over those documents?
So I just found out literally an hour ago. So this is the first time that we've actually gotten hard.
I saw a list of who was going to perform.
Documents. So we actually tried to pick those up today. But because of the schedule, we're obviously going to be over at the White House for the Presidential Medal of Freedom for Charlie. We are going to be obtaining those documents next week, and then it'll be as quickly as we can get them uploaded. So within the next 2 weeks, the American people should be able to go through those filings. What's interesting is that the Russian government actually had given copies to the federal government at the funeral for Kennedy, and we never obtained those documents, which I believe the CIA destroyed them. What I also think is interesting is that a lot of people don't know, but Kennedy actually had a backdoor conversation the entire time with the then leader of Russia, and he did not want nuclear war. And so he was actually back channeling peace talks, negotiations with Russia at that time during the Cold War. And a lot of people within the intelligence community at the time were trying to paint him as a pro-communist sympathizer, when in actuality, he simply just didn't want war. So interesting times we're living, because I think that a lot of the historical wrongs that have been done in the 60s are being corrected now.
Remarkable. And history does rhyme, as they say, with President Kennedy and then President Trump with the Russia hoax. We know that narrative. And you did say, I believe a few months ago regarding JFK specifically, that you do believe, based on this redacted and declassified intelligence, that there were two shooters potentially. Is that still true based upon...
Yeah, so there's no redactions in some of the documents that have been uploaded. And if there are, we've been pushing back to have the unredacted copies uploaded. But yeah, based on the evidence that we have found, and based on direct testimony from one of the doctors in the actual operating room that Kennedy was brought to in Dallas, there were two shooters.
Sold out in 3 hours.
Wow, breaking news here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Please come back and see us, Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna. Enjoy today. Enjoy remembering Charlie. It is Charlie Kirk Remembrance Day, and we will be celebrating that this week. But we appreciate your time coming on the live desk.
Thank you.
Thank you again to Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna of the 13th District of the free Sunshine State of Florida. All of the hard work she's doing to bring this government transparency to you, the American people. We look forward to having her on again as we celebrate the life and legacy of Charlie Kirk being awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom from number 45 and 47 himself, just moments away. Thank you to Monetary Gold for your sponsorship here on the right side of history. It's wealth, it's security, it's preservation. Grab your complimentary Presidential Gold Guide today. Call today. Do not delay. Ask how you can eliminate your IRA fees permanently for life. Call immediately right now. It's 888-617-7994.
But they are having one.
RSBN4thegold.com. RSBN4thegold.com. Monetary Gold, Wealth Security Preservation. Robert Kiyosaki warned us 2 banks failing this year alone. Nearly 500 under the Obama administration, 16 between the first and now second terms of President Trump, because we have these BRICS nations doing what they're doing. As Jim Path mentioned earlier on in the show, the president of the Conservative Caucus, it is good how things are realigning, especially peace in the Middle East, and how President Trump using tariffs and realigning global trade so that the Russians aren't necessarily dependent upon China and vice versa, because China has really been pushed back against the ropes. What does that mean for you? Gold, silver, those precious commodities, great to diversify with regardless of who's in power. And again, President Trump is playing 4D chess in all of these peace movements and realigning, again, global trade and these deals that will bring billions into the United States, as many have done so already. We've watched a whole nearly 9 months of this happening. Monetary Gold, wealth security preservation, protect yourself from another depression and from the things that happen around the world, including the BRICS nations that are trying to weaken the American
good
dollar.
Things are happening.
RSBN4thegold.com. MyPillow.com/RSBN. The 6-piece towel set back in stock. It normally goes for $70. Now down under $40, $39.98, a very limited quantity. Call today. Do not delay. It's 800-836-7566. Support Mike.
I will just say we have MyPillow towels.
MyPillow.com
my favorite towels.
RSBN. He's the purveyor of free speech.
They're really good towels.
Integrity and a master marketer, as President Trump mentioned at the 100-day celebration in Warren Township, Michigan, the Wolverine State, not far from gorgeous Minnesota, where Mike Lindell might be running for governor. We'll stay tuned on that. MyPillow.com/RSBN. If you like what you see here at the live desk, it's your go-to live desk, in fact. RSBNetwork.com/donate. You may also text RSBN to 801-801. We do appreciate donations as we're taking on a legacy media, as we're diving in deep on the things that actually matter. Do you think the legacy media would reach out to Congresswoman Luna and talk about the declassification of information that is literally changing history, because history was once tried to be blocked out or blotched out by powers that be, and the truth is finally being revealed. Light shining onto the darkness. That's what journalism is all about, in essence, to keep your government accountable. And because you put a constitutional Republican government, not only in the party name, but also the philosophy of law and order, in the election of 2024 back on November 5th, you now have this unbridled access
I love the
to
towels.
your president, your vice president, the 119th
and the pillows.
Congress, all through a network you can love and trust right here on
the
right
sheets
side
are
of
okay.
history.
They're not.
We also have a address you can reach
I have
out
a
to.
duvet.
I have a check or money order. That's 1550.
We have robes and slippers and everything.
Suite 6,
I like to support
the
Mike
loveliest
Lindell
village
also.
on the plains, Auburn, Alabama, 36830, 1550 Opelika Road, Suite 6, Box 344, Auburn, Alabama, 36830. Thank you for your support of Right Side Broadcasting Network, our live desk, and our programming. Heck, some great newsletters as well. You can subscribe there, rsbnetwork.com/newsletter, so you don't miss a beat. You don't miss a minute as we go live on a near daily basis to bring you your government in action. President Trump will participate in ceremony to honor
Bullhorn Betty is
Charlie
live
Kirk,
right now.
the Medal of Freedom. Well-deserved. Good and
not a good
faithful
choice
servant.
of clothing, in my
his
opinion.
32nd birthday, the United States Senate
Just saying.
weeks ago declaring this day, October 14th, as Charlie Kirk Remembrance Day. And from here on out, we will be celebrating that on every
the
single
pillows are
birthday
good.
of Charlie's, a fond way to remember a great man. President
I wouldn't
Trump
get the
returning
robe. Just
at
it's
3 in the
so
morning
heavy.
Eastern time from the Middle East after a series
Really
of
heavy.
meetings, after the signing of the peace accords, after the signing of those deals, and visiting Israel and Egypt with countless different leaders. In fact, we have photos of the family of nations coming together for this peace accord. President Trump sharing that on Truth Social, of just how many people wanted to shake his hand in that process. So it was rather quite a sight
Hold on.
with leaders from
Get out of here.
the Middle East to Europe and around the world coming together to endorse this plan. And number 9, Mr. Producer, shows that sped up video of President Trump shaking countless hands and holding court right there in Egypt.
What the hell is all that? What is this? Have you guys seen Cinema Shogun going after Candace Owens? He's going after her hard. I like it. Because I have had it with that woman. Cinema Shogun said she's charging $1,500 an hour to talk to her on the phone. Who the hell wants to talk to her? $1,500 a minute? I don't want this. There we go, Jackie. So, you know what else has been happening? You know what happens? I keep getting
extraordinary display.
Every time my phone does an update, it has gone ahead and just put some apps on there that I don't
in
want.
Roughly 3,000 years, the president described this
Sick to
region
death
of the
of that
world
shit.
has been at tribal
Got
warfare
this damn thing
for
on here now.
countless centuries and generations. And for these people to come together now to really strive for that peace, a lasting peace post-World War II, the kind of peace that President Kennedy would speak upon, that President Reagan worked for, and that this president, number 45 and 47, really culminated in achieving as the hostages are home.
Hey,
Think
Top
about
Hat.
this for 2 long
Did you see
years
that?
being
Did you see that on
removed
Cinema
from
Shogun?
your family members for nearly 800 days.
Also, what did he?
Malnourished.
$100
kept
to
in
text her or
darkness.
something?
One gentleman actually having to dig his grave, and the
How about you fucking
anti-Semitism
blow me, bitch?
that boiled over throughout the
Give me a
Western world,
break.
and something that actually surprised me in reaction to
I couldn't believe
what's
it.
taken place not only on social media.
All right, I want someone else to have this. I really want to like right side. Why is it not working? Yeah. Yeah, there is. Let me see. Get off of there. Okay. All right. I think we're better here. Yeah, Top Hats, what did you say? You can email you for 500? That's a good deal. I don't know, Jerry. We talked about that last night. I don't know. I have no idea why that's happening. $4.50 a minute, right? Oh my God. I mean, that woman is batshit crazy. No, me too. Me too. A lot going on in life right now. Yeah. Yeah. Before you try to call me, just be prepared, okay? It's not free. Oh, shit. She has seriously lost her mind. I can't with that woman. Oh my God, she makes me so mad. I'm so Oh God. Right, right. You want a piece of this big mouth, you're gonna have to go ahead and pay for it. Hmm. Right? Oh shit. What a dumb ass. It actually doesn't make sense. It really doesn't, because if you look at her history, she's always used people. To get where she's at now, she's used a lot of people. She's gone from hardcore liberal to hardcore conservative. I don't know what the hell she is now. I don't even know what to call her, honestly. And every time she works for somebody, she's left there not on good terms. I didn't either, Top Hats. I really didn't either. I didn't realize all of that either. I just been learning lately. She just uses people. Even Laura Loomer said that she thought they were actually friends. Like she said, she said they were the kind of friends, like she picked her up at the dentist's office when she got her wisdom teeth pulled. And she wanted Laura Loomer to introduce her to certain people. Once she did, they weren't friends anymore. She has lost her mind. But I really think it's actually not as unusual. I think once you get to know her, it's not as weird as we think. Okay, I think I got somewhere else to go. Oh, shit. Thank you. You're not as sharp. Yeah, that's same with me. I think now that I know more about her, it's not as unusual. Right. She's clearly all about money. Hold on one second. Okay, sorry about that. I was texting everybody trying to figure out how to get into my damn computer. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. Yep. No, I think it's very true. And it's disappointing. Right. 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 Do it. I agree, Top Hats. Are we stuck? Why does everything keep freezing up? Oh, for fuck's sake. Is this a fucking joke? What? What?
Only 31 when he died, and what an impact he made at such a short time.
And it's only been a month since he died.
Yeah.
It's just extraordinary.
Do I hear Lionel Richie? Yeah, right. Me too. Probably will. Oh, I'm froze. Why?
Person's is the largest stream is straight.
What the actual F? Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. Good Lord. Okay, I took myself off of there, so Oh God. Yeah. Yeah, right. What the All right. Hopefully, as long as we can hear this. I know, me too, Happy. Yep. I am also. I know. It's weird. Sometimes I really still just can't believe it. And that's what makes it even more disgusting for people to say all this, come up with all this nonsense. And that's the thing. Whoever, if you want to believe Candace, she's had several different theories. A lot. And they get more outlandish. Yeah, it was pretty horrible. By his big feet. Look how windy it is. Oh my God. I was listening to Benny earlier. He put this picture up. So funny. Oh, it's crazy how many they have. Yep. Oh my God, you're so right. I did like Mike Pence. Oh my God. That's funny. Yeah, remember that? Because wow. I really love Marco though. Gotta tell you that really loving that guy. I did too. Yeah, little Marco is just the bomb. Okay, I don't know what's going on. Right. Okay, let's see if it will let me. Yeah, it is just not showing me on the screen. I don't know why. This is weird. My camera is on. I wanted to show you guys this picture. It's so damn funny. Jerry Nadler. Oh, God. I do too. I like Marco. Yeah, let me see what I can do. I know, right, Jerry? He did say that. I don't know why he did that. Well, he said, I can't remember his exactly what he said. He was being humble. I hope we're going to be able to hear better. Yeah, I think that's, I think the whole getting shot and a lot of things really messed with his head. It would mine. Okay. It's 30 minutes late now, so. I did see where, some people are actually giving him credit for getting the hostages back and, getting a peace deal. But not Obama. He's not about to. He has done a lot. Yes, he has. Yep, that's what I say. Obama also, in some podcast, pretty much admitted to, being acting president while Biden was in. Of course, we know it wasn't Biden. And Obama is the only president ever to never leave D.C. That's why it's going to be hard to call Biden the worst president in my lifetime, because he really wasn't president. All right, let's get the show on the road, folks. I think it was Obama, because you know how he talked about how he would like to be president. When someone asked him if he would want a third term, he said that if he could just call the shots and not actually have to go and do all the stuff, because they didn't like that.
Y'all know this is Alabama.
Yeah, and he recently did a podcast, I'll have to find it, where he pretty much admitted to doing that. All right, people, get the show on the road. I'm afraid to mess with anything. The way everything's acting goofy. Do what you've been doing. Yeah, my camera's not working, and I couldn't get into my computer. It's having all kinds of issues.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, accompanied by Charlie Kirk. Erica Kirk.
This occasion, we were hoping we were able to get outside, and the weather allowed us to. It was supposed to be a terrible rainy day. I was telling Eric, and God was watching, and he didn't want that for Charlie. He just didn't want that. So it's really beautiful. It couldn't be more beautiful. Today we're here to honor and remember a fearless warrior for liberty, beloved leader who galvanized the next generation like nobody I've ever seen before, and an American patriot of the deepest conviction, the finest quality and the highest caliber, the late, great Charlie Kirk. Five weeks ago, our nation was robbed of this extraordinary champion. He was a champion in every way. I got to know him so well. He didn't like losing, and he was able to fight people that were enemies, and he didn't necessarily love those enemies so much. You know, I heard he loved his enemies, and I said, wait a minute, is that the same Charlie that I know? I'm not sure, but I didn't want to get into it. Is that the same Charlie that I know? I'm not sure, but I didn't want to get into it. But it was a horrible, heinous, demonic act of murder. He was assassinated in the prime of his life for boldly speaking the truth, for living his faith and relentlessly fighting for a better and stronger America. He loved this country. And that's why this afternoon it's my privilege to posthumously award Charles James Kirk, our nation's highest civilian honor, the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Thank you. As you know, only hours ago, I returned from a very historic trip to secure peace in the Middle East. People said that couldn't be done. Charlie felt it could be done. Charlie felt it could be done. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. But I raced back halfway around the globe. I was going to call Erica and say, Erica, could you maybe move it to Friday? And I didn't have the courage to call. But you know why I didn't call? Because I heard today was Charlie's birthday. And I said, you know, that was a definite. And I said, we're going to have to forget about some of those very big, very rich countries that expected me to be there. And I can tell you, based on the length of that flight, I wouldn't want to go back tomorrow. But I would not have missed this moment for anything in the world, nothing. And it's a very important time for our country, and our country is doing so well. It's never done better. We are a country with almost now $18 trillion of investment coming in. Nobody's ever seen anything like that. Previous administration had less than $1 trillion for 4 years. We have more than 18, it'll be much more than 20 by the time the year, more than $20 trillion. There's never been a country in the world that had anything like that. What's happened to our country is incredible in a short period of time. Charlie was a big person for, sir, can we close up those borders, please, a little bit? You know, they're really leaking badly. I said, Charlie, I haven't gotten there yet. But, you know, it came out the last 4 months. Literally nobody was allowed into our country. And the only people that were allowed in were people that came in legally. The borders are absolutely stone cold closed, and they reported 0, 0, 0, and 0, so that's pretty good. But he was a big believer. He wanted people in the country more than I did, frankly. He wanted them to come in legally, and he got his wish. October 14th is Charlie's birthday, and he should have been turning 32 years old. I tell you, when I first met him, he was like 22. And I said, boy, he's awfully young. But I thought he was older than that. You know, looked a little bit older than his age. It's okay, you know. That's not good when you're old, but when you're young, it's great. He had the best of all things, but he was special. But instead, Charlie is attaining a far more important milestone. We're entering his name forever into the eternal roster of true American heroes. He's a true American hero, an amazing person, way, way beyond his years. And I'm honored to be joined by a woman who has endured unspeakable hardship with unbelievable strength, and that's Charlie's widow, Erica. And I just want to thank you, Erica. He loved you so much. I was with him. Oh, please. Thank you, darling. Thank you. I was with him before I met Erica, and he told me he was going to get married. He said, "You won't believe how beautiful she is." I said, "Well, then now that I meet her, he's right." But then he also said, "And you know what? She's like the smartest person I know." See, they do go together on occasion. Not often. Not often. But on occasion they go together. But he was in love with you. He was deeply in love with you. It's great. Erica, your love and courage have been an inspiration to all of us, and we will always be here for you, and we're always going to be here for your gorgeous, beautiful children, and we'll never forget what your family has sacrificed for our country. Man loved our country. When things were going badly for our country, he was so, as you know, angry. He would get angry because he said it doesn't have to be that way. We're also pleased to be joined by an incredible group of Charlie's friends, very powerful friends, actually, and some not so powerful, and they're actually better people. Okay, I know them all. They're the less powerful ones. I have to tell you that, all of you power guys down here. The best ones in the group are the ones that are less successful, but that happens too. No, they're all great, and they're here. And let's start with Erica's father. Where is Erica's father? Where are you? Where are you, Dad? Oh, look at him. Wow. I want to get a hat like that, too. I like that. How are you? Nice to see you again. Thanks as well to Vice President J.D. Vance, who's been fantastic. J.D., thank you very much. Great. Doing a great job. Did a great job on Sunday with George Slopadopoulos. I think put him away pretty good. Second lady, who's a phenomenal woman, Usha Vance. Thank you very much, Usha. Thank you very much. Great woman. President of Argentina. He wanted to be here. That's Argentina's a serious flight, right? And he's become a superstar, and he's doing amazing things. He's a MAGA person, but it's make Argentina great again. That's what he does, right? And I want you to stand, please. Javier Milei. Doing a great job. Thank you very much. Many members of my cabinet are here. Just about all of them are here. I won't go into every single one of them, but I'll announce a few of the people that have really turned this country around and helped me. Incredible people. Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. Where is Mike? Mike, what a job you're doing, Mike. What a job you're doing. And I watched you this morning, and you're in there trying to say, look, just let the country open. Everything will be fine. We're dealing with some radical left lunatics. And I just wish Charlie was here to fight us. I think the fight would have been over already. He would have had a march on the Capitol by people whose average age is about 21, because there's nobody that had that relationship with young people. Right, Mike? So thank you, Mike, for being here. House Majority Leader Steve Scalise. Steve, thank you very much. A brave guy and a friend. House Majority Whip, another terrific man, Tom Emmer. Tom. Thank you, Tom. Senate Majority Whip, John Barrasso. John, thank you very much. You have all these senators. I'm going to get in trouble. I'm not going to read all their names. I'll be reading all day. We'll be talking about Charlie in about 45 minutes from now. We can't do that. So all of the senators, there's so many of you, thank you very much. I do want to thank Senator Thune for doing a terrific job. He's really been leading properly. Do you agree, Mike? The team, the two of these guys have been fantastic. So to Senator Thune, I want to thank you very much. Incredible job. I watched him this morning, and he was out there pounding them this morning on television too. And John Barrasso, thank you for the work you've done, and congratulations on your success. But I want to thank you all and all of the Congress people that are here. And I see we have our Attorney General here, and you are doing a fantastic job. Thank you very much, Pam. Thank you. Thank you very much. We have everybody. Wow, that's incredible. Okay, I'm not going to do any more. I'm going to be here too long. But I just want to thank you. Have given him such support, but he always gave you such support. That's why you're here. And very unusual. Charles James Kirk was a visionary and one of the greatest figures of his generation. He was truly an amazing figure. And growing leaps and bounds, he knew that the fight to preserve our heritage is waged not only on the battlefield and in the halls of power, of which we have tremendous power here, including the head of a place called war. We call it now war. We had defense. We had our Secretary of Defense. Now we have a Secretary of War. And somehow I think it's more emblematic, and hopefully we'll never have to use war. But the fact that we're ready is very good. Peace through strength is very important. But also in the hearts of our nation's youth, that's where Charlie rode strongest. At age 18, that insight inspired Charlie to found the organization that ultimately touched the lives of millions and millions of people, and so many young people that nobody's ever seen anything like it, frankly. Turning Point USA. It's amazing, and it's actually bigger now. It's become bigger in the last few weeks than Charlie ever thought. I think his end vision in many years from now would have been just a fraction of what it turned out to be in a couple of weeks, right? It's amazing. With hard work and joyful spirit and endless enthusiasm and determination. And he did have great enthusiasm. You know, I always say you need enthusiasm to be successful. He had great enthusiasm. Charlie grew Turning Point into the largest conservative youth organization in the entire country. He forged a personal bond with countless young conservatives. He fought for free speech, religious liberty, strong borders, and a very strong and proud America. In everything he did, he put America first. He really put America first. And ultimately, Charlie became more than a leader of an important organization. He became the leader of historic movements all over the country. There were movements, individual movements, one movement, but it was historic. Everything he did was historic, and a true evangelist for the cause of freedom and the word of Almighty God. God was very important to Charlie. He would say, you know, if you don't have religion, you're not going to have a strong country. It's true. He was so wise behind his years. You know, I talk to him sometimes and say, this guy is like a young guy. He was really a wise man. From the time Charlie worked on my presidential campaign in 2016, and he was there right from the beginning. He liked me. I don't know. I have no idea why. What the hell was he thinking? He said, you're going to win, sir. I said, you know, I'm running against 17 senators and a lot of tough people and governors. We have all these people. And he said, no, you're going to win, sir. He said, not going to be close. And he made it happen. He helped make it happen. I'll tell you that. Without him, who knows what would be. Maybe you'd have Kamala standing here today. That would not be good. I will tell you, Javier, you don't know who Kamala is. Promise, it would not be good. You agree with that, Howard? He also mobilized countless citizens to go vote. It's called Go Vote. Very simple. And with his help in 2024, we won more young people than any Republican by far in the history of our country. And we won the popular vote. We won the swing states, all 7 of them. Remember, they said, oh, well, if Trump could win 4, that would be nice. I win 7 by a lot, by a landslide. But the popular vote was massive. And we won the Electoral College. Remember, they said, well, it's going to be very hard. I'd say 270. Well, we got 312 to 226. And then we won something called districts and councils and different things. But In one case, we won 2,750 to 525. That's the one where you see the map is almost entirely red, except they have a little blue line on one side and a little blue line, meaning New York, and a little bit Los Angeles. I have a feeling that if the vote were 100%, we would have won that too. You want to know the truth. But he knew, and he knew very well, and he also understood honesty, and he was always concerned with honesty. He said the only way we can lose is if the cheating gets so bad, and that's where we came up with a little phrase, too big to rig. We said, go out and vote. Just go out and vote. And we had that. Remember, we used to say that all the time because people would say, oh, they're going to win. We don't have to vote. Let's go to a movie. We'll come home and watch later. And he wasn't about that. So we come up together, we came up with that phrase. We got to make it too big. I never made a speech where I didn't say at the end, now look, the polls are showing good. Don't believe the polls. He said, we're going to make it, Susie, right? Too big to rig. So if you think we're going to win by a lot, doesn't matter. Pretend we're losing. You got to go out and vote. They voted. And at 9:02, the whole thing was over, right? 9:02. Remember they said, oh, this could go a few days. Well, went a few minutes. 9:02. And he knew that. And I felt it, but he knew it. He knew it. I think he knew it more than anybody. But Charlie never missed an opportunity to remind us of the Judeo-Christian principles of our nation's founding or to share his deep Christian faith. In his final moments, Charlie testified to the greatness of America and to the glory of our Savior, with whom he now rests in heaven. And he is going to make heaven. I said, I'm not sure I can make it, but he's going to make it. He's there. He's looking down on us right now. It's so incredible. Look at this, how this turned out. This was supposed to be so dark and cloudy. Not dark and cloudy, is it? Look at that, how beautiful that is. There's no artist that can capture it as beautiful as it is today. Wow, it's amazing. As I said, on the day that he was assassinated, Charlie Kirk was a martyr for truth and for freedom. And from Socrates to think, and to St. Peter, from Abraham Lincoln to Martin Luther King, those who change history the most, and he really did, have always risked their lives for causes they were put on earth to defend. He was put on earth to do exactly what he was doing. He didn't want to waste time. He would have been a top student at any college in the country. I know the college as well. He's smarter than the guys there. He was so smart. But he almost, I guess, didn't have the time to do what he wanted to do. It wasn't like, gee, I want to sit in the classroom for 4 years listening to people teach me liberal principles, because they were never going to teach him that anyway. But he didn't have the time. He really didn't have the time. But every time the enemies of goodness and virtue tried to silence the voice of righteous and noble leaders like Charlie, they failed. They seem to fail. Ultimately, they look like they're doing well, and then they end up failing, because the truth has been unrelenting over the years, over history. And people like Charlie, it's just they've got a power that others don't have, and very few people will ever have. So today, like those martyrs before him, Charlie's voice, his message, and his legacy are stronger and greater than ever before. They are greater than ever before. Look, this is a horrible event, but it brought out the greatness of Charlie. Nothing could have ever supplanted this. It's incredible, the way people are talking about him. And with great love. I mean, I read so many stories about some of the enemies, but I watch the enemies, and it's hard for them to speak badly about him because they just don't. And then you do have people in the days since Charlie's killing, we've seen exactly why our country so dearly needed his example. We've watched legions of far-left radicals resort to desperate acts of violence and terror because they know that their ideas and arguments are persuading no one. They know that they're failing. They have the devil's ideology, and they're failing, and they know it, they feel it, and they become violent. They seem to become very violent on the left. They've rammed vehicles into federal law enforcement, fired sniper rifles at ICE agents, and me, you know. But I made a turn at a good time. I turned to the right. Charlie couldn't believe it, actually. He said, how the hell did you make that turn? I said, I don't know. But fired rifles and threatened the lives of our Supreme Court justices, our great justices. They have to be protected. We just issued a lot of money, $60 million, to protect the Supreme Court justices. Very important. We can't let anything happen. In places of worship, we're protecting our people. We've seen that a candidate for Attorney General in Virginia boasted that he would want to see the Republican legislature, a legislator in Virginia, shot in the head and to see his children murdered. He actually said this. And now he continues to run for office, and most people continue to back him, but he said he wants his man shot. He said shot in the head and to see his children murdered. And they keep running. Pretty amazing, right? That's a bad one. Let's see how that turns out, but that's a really bad one. Nobody's heard that one before. Especially in the wake of Charlie's assassination, our country must have absolutely no tolerance for this radical left violence, extremism, and terror. We're done with the angry mobs, and we're not going to let our cities be unsafe. We're going to make sure our cities are safe. When you have Chicago, where they had 4,000 people murdered over a very short period of time, 4,000 people, and then we have a governor stand up and say, oh, things are going swimmingly. No, they're not. We're going to make Chicago safe, just like we're going to make, look what we did in D.C. It's so nice that we started here, because this was one of the most violent places in the United States. It'd be dangerous to be right out here. But you couldn't go to a restaurant. The restaurants were all dying. The whole place was dying. You'd have these gorgeous, look at the Washington Monument over there. You'd have these gorgeous buildings and monuments and structures. And people were afraid to leave their apartment. They were afraid to go to work. They'd get into an Uber and they'd feel safe, and then the Uber would be attacked. They thought they made it to safety, and then the Uber was attacked on the trip in. But we've done a great job, and now it's considered a totally safe city. We haven't had problems. It took us 12 days to make it great. We took out, Pam, 1,700 hard criminals, career criminals in many cases, but these are hardened criminals. Many of them came in through the Biden open borders. We brought them back to the countries. And a couple were so violent that we put them in jail. We don't want to take a chance that they could get back in, because no matter how good we do, somebody can sneak in. They were so violent and so bad. One arrested 28 times. Every time he left prison, he'd get into a violent incident. 28 times. And we put him away for a long time. But we're done with the angry mobs. We're done with it. This is such an unbelievable place right now. You take a look where you can walk down the middle of the street with your wife or your husband. Your children can walk. They can walk alone. It doesn't matter. They can walk anywhere in Washington, and they're safe now. If this were a year and a half ago, a year ago, they'd have a serious chance of being badly hurt, even killed. They'd come in from Indiana, they'd come in from Iowa, they'd come from Florida to see the nation's capital, and somebody would have to call the parents, I'm sorry, but your son or your daughter's been killed. Not anymore. You hear those sirens going off? That's good. That's a good sound. That means they either got the bad guy or they're going to stop the bad guy. You didn't hear that sound because nobody wanted to do anything. Nobody, listen to the beauty of that sound. Seriously. And that's the real deal sirens. They're not politically correct sirens. You hear them, they're about 3 miles away. That's great. What a beautiful sound. They're stopping crime. That's what they're doing. So we're done with the voices of fools. They're fools. And death threats, and we're going to make our cities safe. And I thought it was Charlie's, one of his biggest dreams was that he couldn't believe it. Chicago's going to be a great city again. We've already, we sent people in there 6 months ago, and this governor said, well, crime is down. Yeah, that's because we had the FBI in there for 6 months, just preparing it for the bigger surge. And they've done a great job, the cash and the FBI. They've done a great job, and they love doing it, They love being able to do it. They were restricted from doing it. They couldn't do anything. And now they're totally unrestricted. All they have to do is stop crime, and they're doing it. By the way, Memphis, as you know, you heard they went in about a week ago. one of the most dangerous places in the country, really in the world. It's not just the country. They have very few cities that would compare to some of these cities. You go to Afghanistan, you say, oh, that's unsafe. Well, the crime numbers are much better than the crime numbers in places that we have. So Memphis, I understand, is doing unbelievably in 1 week. It's like a different place. And this took 12 days, and then after that, we just perfected it. But after 12 days, we had good safety here. After 1 month, it's like, it's really amazing. And by the way, restaurants are booming. Restaurants are opening up. The big problem you have, you can't get into a restaurant in D.C. anymore. So they're opening up. It's a beautiful thing to see. It's called safety. It's called law enforcement and letting them do their job. And that's why I said last month that I have directed the Attorney General and the Department of Homeland Security to confront the very real threat of left-wing terrorism in our country. It's a real threat. Not when you confront it, it's not, because they're not brave people. In fact, they're cowards. When you confront them, they immediately fold. You have to see them fold. You have to see them crying. They fold. But it includes dismantling the networks that fund them and finance them, and we're finding out who those networks are. We already know quite a few of them. When you see these violent incidents and then you see people holding this gorgeous sign with beautiful wood, beautiful cardboard, wood, everything's perfect paint job, and they're all the same. There are thousands of them. You know that they weren't made in the basement out of love. They were made by anarchists, and in some cases wealthy. I'll probably find some of my nice friends that are up there being so nice to me, especially lately. They're being very nice. But it surprises you who they may be, and you almost wonder why would they do it? But they're hurting our country, and we're really taking it back one by one. If we didn't go into Los Angeles early on in the administration, the commissioner, the chief of police, Los Angeles, said if they didn't go in, we would have lost our city. Now, they already lost 25,000 houses to fire because they wouldn't let the water come in from the Pacific Northwest, which they should have done. And I said, you better do it. They didn't do it, and we had 25,000 homes where they had no water in their sprinklers, they had no water in their fire hydrants. It would have been a different kind of a thing if they did what they were supposed to do. We had to break in. We broke in and had the water come down. They said for the environment, it's great. They lost 25,000 houses. It's incredible. But the commissioner said without the federal government and President Trump's intervention, we would have lost the entire city. And we have the Olympics going there soon. I got the Olympics. We have the Olympics. We have the World Cup. And we have, most importantly, we have the 250th anniversary of our country. That's going to be most important. And all of these things are happening. And we're going to have safe cities. We're going to have very, very safe cities. So 1 month after Charlie's death, we still feel the terrible shock and the pain of his loss, like just about nobody I can think of. Charlie Kirk was one of a kind. He was unstoppable. And he really was. Boy, when he had an idea in his head, he would call me, sir, please, you haven't done it yet. I said, Charlie, relax. Just relax. He didn't relax. He'd call me the next day again. It got it done. But he was like indomitable and always will be. He's really irreplaceable. Nobody can replace him. But they're going to do great, but you can't replace that kind of person and that kind of talent, frankly. The word talent is an important word, but that kind of talent. So we hold his memory in our hearts forever. Every single day of this administration, we will continue to carry out the mission for which he lived, and he really did. He lived for this country. He lived for his wife and his family, but he lived for this country too. In Charlie's honor, we will continue like we have been to fight, and to win. We're going to win so much. So the Presidential Medal of Freedom is a big deal. You have the Congressional Medal of Honor, military, and the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which is civilian. And the Presidential Medal of Freedom is a really big deal. Very few people get it. Very few people, frankly, qualify. It's a decision of the president, but it's a qualification that's a very hard one to get. And I would like to ask, if I might, the military aide to read Charles James Kirk's citation for the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Thank you very much. Thank you.
The Presidential Medal of Freedom is awarded to Charles James Kirk. Accepting on behalf of Charlie is his wife, Mrs. Erica Kirk. Charlie Kirk was one of the most influential American political figures of his generation. At just 18 years old, he founded Turning Point USA and grew it into the largest conservative youth organization in the nation. For over a decade, he tirelessly traveled the country leading a movement to restore respect for our founding principles, reawaken our national identity, and inspire a renewed spirit of religious devotion. He was one of the great debaters and communicators of his time. Despite receiving repeated threats, he remained undeterred and modeled courage, logic, humor, and grace to the next generation. On September 10th, 2025, at age 31, Charlie Kirk was assassinated while addressing a group of students. The United States honors him as a martyr for truth and freedom.
Thank you, Mr. President, for honoring my husband in such a profound and meaningful way. And thank you for making this event a priority amid the peace process in the Middle East. Thank you. Very grateful. Charlie always admired your commitment to freedom, and that's something that both of you shared. So thank you. Your support of our family and the work that Charlie devoted his life to will be something I cherish forever, so thank you. To our gracious First Lady in her office for making this event possible, thank you as well. It's beautiful. To Vice President and the lovely Usha Vance, your friendship has been an unbelievable encouragement. Thank you. And to all our friends and family that are here and watching from all around the world, thank you for loving us. Thank you for praying for us and for believing in what Charlie believed in. And to our Turning Point USA staff and the Charlie Kirk Show staff, we love you more than you could ever know. And to the Turning Point USA chapters that are watching all across America right now, you are the heartbeat of this future and of this movement. Everything that Charlie built, you guys are the legacy holders of that. You are living proof that his mission did not die with him. It lives through you. And Charlie always said the next generation will decide whether freedom endures. And because of you, I know that freedom will endure. It will. And today we're gathered not only to celebrate Charlie's birthday, but to honor a truth that he gave his entire life to defend, and that's freedom. The very existence of the Presidential Medal of Freedom reminds us that the national interest of the United States has always been freedom. Our founders etched it into the preamble of our Constitution, and those words are not relics on parchment. They are a living covenant. The blessings of liberty are not man's invention, they are God's endowment. Charlie lived for those blessings, not as abstract words, but as sacred promises. He used to love to journal about this topic all the time, and with such a heart postured of gratitude. And he believed that liberty was both a right and a responsibility. And he used to say, freedom is the ability to do what is right without fear. And that's how he lived. He was free from fear. He was free from compromise, free from anything that could enslave his soul. His name, Charles, literally means free man. And that's exactly who my husband was. He was a free man. And from the time I met him, sitting across from him, being interviewed on politics and philosophy and theology, anything that Charlie loved, any topic he loved, and I just saw the fire in his soul, and there was this divine restlessness within him that came from knowing God placed him on this earth to protect something very, very sacred for all of us. And he never stopped fighting for people to experience freedom. He didn't. Charlie often said that without God, freedom becomes chaos. And he believed liberty could only survive when anchored to truth. And I remember in one of his speeches, he told the audience that the opposite of liberty isn't law. He said it's captivity. And that the freest people in the world are those whose hearts belong to Christ. But what's so powerful is that Charlie had the ability to communicate so brilliantly across all generations. And he reminded us that in a world that tells us freedom is doing whatever you want to do, the real freedom is the power to live freely and to do what is right. And in one of his journal entries, he wrote that he wanted everyone to know that you can't have liberty without moral responsibility. Freedom divorced from faith eventually just destroys itself. And what's so fascinating about all of this is looking back these past 12 years of Turning Point USA and his mission, there's almost this veil of sacredness. Because what I realize is that while he was building an organization, he was also building a movement. One that called people back to God, back to truth, and a movement that was filled with courage. And ironically, for a man who impacted millions, Charlie never desired to be the center of attention. He just wasn't. My husband was not a man of extravagance. He loved simple but deeply meaningful things. Truly. He loved his late night walks. He loved buying more books than he could ever read because he felt there was no such thing as a book budget. And he loved being able to read to our kids the same bedtime story on repeat because he knew it was their favorite. But to him, that was special. And he loved to sit in the sun on a Saturday morning with his cup of decaf coffee, and his phone was off because he was honoring the Sabbath. And for him, it was that moment to catch his breath and just be in peace because he was unreachable at the moment. And he preferred quiet birthdays. But that never stopped me from telling him. I told him every single year, I said, baby, I love your birthday. I said, because it's the day that God knew the world couldn't go another day without you. And so the rhythm of our usual birthday celebration for him was mint ice cream, mint chocolate chip ice cream. He only had it twice a year, on his birthday and 4th of July. It's just, and then after that, it was back to work as usual. But last year, his one birthday wish was to see the Oregon Ducks play the Ohio State. And they won. Oregon won that night. And it was by far one of the most memorable nights of his birthday experience of his life until today. And so, honestly, President Trump, I have spent 7.5 years trying to find the perfect birthday gift for Charlie. And it's so difficult. And those of you that have spouses or loved ones, you know how difficult it is sometimes to buy a gift for someone that you love, because he wasn't a materialistic man, so that also did not help. But now I can say with confidence, Mr. President, that you have given him the best birthday gift he could ever have. It's such an honor and the recognition of a life lived for defending freedom. And that's what Charlie fought for until his last breath. And it was written across his chest in those final moments on one of his simple t-shirts that always carried a message, and this one bearing a single word, freedom. That was the banner over his life, and that shirt was a declaration. The same declaration he made in every speech, every campus visit, every time he shared the gospel at a church, every sleepless night that he would spend praying for the youth of this nation and planning for the future of our country, and just impressing upon them that when we defend liberty, we defend the soul of our nation. My husband never told anyone what to say. He never did. He never told anyone what to say. He would just encourage them to think. He would encourage them to think outside of the traditional political labels. He would want them to think in a way that was anchored in wisdom and truth. But he would never tell anyone what to say. Charlie wasn't content to simply admire freedom. He wanted to multiply it. He wanted to multiply freedom. He wanted young people to taste it and to understand it and defend it. He wanted them to see that liberty isn't self-indulgence, it's self-governance under God. He wanted them to see that. And every day I'd see him getting ready for work. He'd put on his cross necklace, he'd put his ring on his finger. And the boldness in his demeanor was always fearlessness. He wasn't afraid. He was never afraid. In his daily actions, whether in office or on campus or at a church, it was always without fear. That was his creed. That is how he lived out every single day. He didn't fear being slandered. He did not. He didn't fear losing friends, I can tell you that. He didn't. He didn't care. He stood for truth and stood for freedom, and he did not, everything else was just noise to him. And it's because his confidence in Christ was absolute. That's why. There was no limit to what he would have sacrificed to defend freedom for all. And if the moment had come, he probably would have run for president, but not out of ambition. He would only have done it if that was something that he believed that his country needed from a servant's heart standpoint. And Charlie lived only 31 short years. I was 32, but on this side of heaven, but he lived. He lived every single second he lived. He filled every single day with purpose, and he fought for truth when it was unpopular. And he stood for God when it was costly, but that's what we're called to do. Surprisingly enough, he did pray for his enemies, which is very hard, but he did. He did. He did. No one else, I mean, I saw him do it. No, he never did it in front of anyone else, but I can attest to that. But he also loved people when it was inconvenient. And he ran his race with endurance, and he kept the faith. And now he wears the crown of a righteous martyr. And for me and for our children, the truth really steadies our grief, because heaven gained what earth could no longer contain: a free man made fully free. To all watching, this is not a ceremony. This is a commissioning. And my message is simple. I want you to be the embodiment of this medal. I do. I want you to free yourself from fear. I want you to stand courageously in the truth. Listen for the still, small voice of God. And remember that while freedom is inherited in this country, each of us must be intentional stewards every single day. God began a mighty work through my husband, and I intend to see it through. And the torch is in our hands now. It's in mine, it's in yours, it's in all of yours. It's in all the students with Turning Point USA. And before I close, I'll share with you that I asked our daughter what she would like to say to Daddy for his birthday. Excuse me. She said, "Happy birthday, Daddy. I want to give you a stuffed animal. I want you to eat a cupcake with ice cream, and I want you to go have a birthday surprise. I love you," is what she said. And while our son is precious, he can't yet speak, in classic Kirk family fashion, his actions spoke louder than his words, and his gift to you, Charlie, and myself for that matter, was deciding to become the man of the house and be fully potty trained at 16 months. But Charlie, baby, I know that you're celebrating in heaven today, but gosh, I miss you. We miss you, and we love you, and we promise we'll make you proud. And Charlie's life was proof that freedom is not a theory, it's a testimony. He showed us that liberty begins not in the halls of power, but in the man of a heart surrendered to God. And so today, as we honor Charlie with this incredible Presidential Medal of Freedom on his birthday, I stand here with tears and just a humbled heart and spirit, because his story reminds us all that to live free is the greatest gift, but to die free is the greatest victory. Happy birthday, my Charlie. Happy Freedom Day. God bless you.
Yes, happy. Yes. Wow. Sorry. Is it really loud for you guys? It's really loud for me. Oh, okay. I have my earbuds in and I'm like, yes. Definitely. It's so the other day I was actually thinking to myself, like, how would would you feel different if he was killed in a car accident or something? Like, I don't know. It's weird because this has been so hard. Yeah, it's very big. Oh, for Pete's sake. It was absolutely. Yeah, you're right. It was just absolutely horrible. Yes, and you think about how amazing that service was and how many people felt the Holy Spirit that would not have. I think she will. Yes. And you know, it gets harder once everything is settles down, you know. I guess. Yeah. Oh, very much so. Very much so. Yeah. I believe that. This is really special. I'm very glad. Yep. I think so. I definitely think so. She's got a lot to do. And you know, think about it. I mean, the way that Charlie had such strong faith, you know, that was, he didn't just marry anybody, you know? Yeah, thank you guys for sharing it with me too. Oh my gosh. Oh, okay. I'm like, what in the world? Okay. I know. Like, what is happening? I do not know where I am, what is going on with this camera. I don't know what's happening with my computer today, all kinds of nonsense. Yes, happy birthday, Charlie, and thank you for everything you did for this country. We are indebted to him, and we owe it to him to do right, to be good people. We do. That's how we can honor him, is to my goodness. Yeah, I got to go get Jack. Thank you guys so much for being here and watching this with me. I appreciate you very much. Everybody have a great day. And give everybody love. Give all your family hugs and kisses, and I will, Queen. I will. Thank you guys. Love you. God bless Charlie Kirk, and God bless America.